Yeah, we're live, 7:05. Today seems to be like all about, it's like an all big block day. So I already posted up a video on the Magic Camshaft, the one cam to rule them all. And that is actually, and it's not even the 300 BR14 that I run in a lot of stuff, although that would work. I mean, it wouldn't make as much power, but it would work on all these applications exactly the same as this camshaft did. And that really was my point in the video that I did on the camshaft stuff. So if you haven't seen the video yet, please go check it out. But I ran the same cam. It's a pretty big cam. It's a 271, 280 at 50 camshaft. It's a solid roller, 740, 720 lift kind of thing. So it's a pretty good sized cam for a big block. We ran it on a 540 inch, and we ran it. The thing that makes it interesting is that I ran it on a low compression motor, so it was less than 9-to-1. But I know you can't run that kind of solid roller camshaft on a low compression because it has to have the high compression. It really doesn't, and that was the whole thing. That was one of the big reasons behind this. But not only did I run it with the low compression 540, because we ran a Dart SHP 540 with a flat top with valve reliefs. We ran the Dart Pro 1 335 CNC heads. We ran it with a bunch of different induction systems, but we ran it with this camshaft, and I showed you what this cam and the top end upgrade did. But we also run this camshaft low compression. I also ran this camshaft with nitrous. It wasn't a low compression solid roller cam. It wasn't a nitrous solid roller cam. We also ran it with two different tunnel rams. I ran it with the YN tunnel ram, the cheapy one that you see that Summit has been selling for years, with two 4150 Hollies on it. I think 850s on that. And then I also ran it with an extreme example of tunnel rams. That would be a Wilson ported Dart tunnel ram with two 1050 Dominators on it. Naturally, it made a lot more power with that combination than the little YN tunnel ram. So I ran it with two different tunnel rams, and guess what? The camshaft works just fine, even with tunnel rams and low compression. And then we ran it with boost, and not just boost. We ran it with two different kinds. One was a roots blower, so it's not a positive displacement blower camshaft, just like it's not a tunnel ram or a low compression or a nitrous camshaft. Also, it's not a centrifugal camshaft, a centrifugal blower camshaft, because we also ran the same combination, the same configuration with a Vortec Mondo centrifugal blower as a blow through on a carbureted deal. And it worked on all of them. So I'll let you in. I know that this suspense is killing you, and at the risk of spoiling all of it, that camshaft works with all of them. And the thing is, it's not a magic camshaft. There's not something special about this camshaft. Not at all. Like I said, if we were to run the BR 300-14, which is listed as a blower cam, it would work with all of these too. And I didn't run this particular cam with a turbo, but we could have, and we've run 540s with that BR 300 blower cam with turbos. We could have run this camshaft with a turbo. I know it's got all that overlap and all the boost is going to bleed out. None of that is going to happen. It makes lots of power. It made with the tunnel rams, it made like 820 or 830. So it did fairly well, which is a good number for a sub 9-to-1 compression big block. So it made good power. And admittedly, that would be a really expensive induction system. A Wilson ported tunnel ram is not going to be cheap. And then two 1050 Ultra Dominators are also not cheap. And then the linkage, which is not terribly expensive in the grand scheme of those things, but still it'd be a lot of money just for that induction system. But it did make good power, and it shows you that camshaft was ready to make power. And I really wanted to show people that, and I've used this motor before, that even with these big roller cams that you have to run lots of compression with, you don't have to. It'll still work. That camshaft will still work. It'll still rev. It'll still make the power that it's going to make. It'll just make less than it would with compression, but so will every other camshaft that you put in there. If you run a stock camshaft in there and then you raise the compression from 9-to-1 to 11-to-1, you're going to pick up power. If you run that BR 300, if you run the little Extreme Energy 288 cam that I ran in, like a 236, 242 kind of thing, if you run 2 more points of compression with that, you're going to pick up power, because that's what compression does. It picks up power on everything. So I was trying to bring that point across, and I think I did. and what I want people to do, and this is what we were talking about this morning, is that when we were talking about the exhaust on the Dodge, that you can take the information from this And although I'm going to beat a dead horse, and I'm going to do this again with other engine families just to reinforce the thing, what you should do is you should look at the NA power output as your starting point, and then whatever you're going to do to that, whether it's a roots blower or twin screw blower, turbos, nitrous, whatever you're going to do to that, you're going to change it with those things. So instead of going into this thing and thinking, wow, I have to have the right kind of camshaft, you don't. You can add all of those things with any camshaft. So going in, just know that, is this cam going to work? The answer is yes, it is going to work. I guarantee it. Richard guarantees it, that it will definitely work. The other thing I want to talk about is today we're doing something new, or tonight we're doing something new. We have one of the thumbnail is one of our viewers. It's Mike Davis, and he supplied a photo of a motor that he ran recently at Westech. I wasn't there when he ran this, but it is pretty cool though. It's a twin turbo, because we're all in on the big block stuff. It's a twin turbo big block 489 stroker, so a 454 that's got a 4250 stroke in it. It's 9.2 to 1 compression, and Mike will be here, so it might be here already. So if you want to ask him questions about it, but I've got some kind of specs for it. It's 9.2 to 1. It has Speedmaster CNC 360 heads, 360 cc heads. I have tests of those heads up on the channel. It has Scat forged bottom end, Molle forged pistons, a 230, 236 cam, so small for a 489. 547 lift. Made this motor made 791 horsepower and 788 foot-pounds on 91 octane at 7 pounds of boost with these two turbos. And the two turbos are, oddly enough, which I think is kind of awesome, they're twin 7875 Gen 2s from VS Racing. So thumbs up for Byron. And it's a blow-through CSU 750 carburetor. So from the turbos alone, there's obviously a lot more power to be had. And there's a lot more power to be had probably even at that 7 pounds, not running it on 91, because I'm sure when they did it at Westech that they ran, it's 91, so you wouldn't run any timing in it. So that's kind of a cool deal. And more than anything, I mean, it just looks kind of awesome. Also, if you'll notice, if you look closely at the photo, that not only is it twin turbo, but it's running wet exhaust too, because this is going in a boat. According to Mike, it is going into a 21-foot open bow Commander jet. Is the motor? The motor is going in that boat, so that'll be kind of cool. That'll be plenty sporty enough. Let's see what this, because this thing had like. Let's see where they tested this at. So he sent me some dyno results. So this thing, they started the load at 35 or 3,600, and it already had 750 foot-pounds there, basically. So it was over 750 foot-pounds of torque from 3,600 to 53 or 5,400. So it's, and that's less critical on a jet application. This thing will go up to near where the thing is making peak torque at, or peak power at. So this thing made peak power, made power at 6,100. I don't know. You guys can ask Mike when he's here. Mike is here. So Mike, what impeller do you have on this, and what RPM do you think that this jet boat will be running at this kind of power level? Because obviously that would change if you turn the boost up, but it'd be interesting to see if, what the thing is going to run at. Is it going to run at 5,500 or 5,600? Let's see. So I'm going to scroll back, see what people are doing. Good evening, everybody. Calgary, Alberta's in the house. Crankin' Wagon. Mike D's in the house. I have an important question. King, go ahead. You can ask your question. When I scroll down there, I'll get to it. 1 Liter Mafia's in the house. Just got done watching an old vid, learning that I don't need a big cam to run turbo. No, you don't. BW's in the house. 2.2 Mafia. Was the Blueprint Power Adder 540 as the base? Not on this motor. The one that I did the video on. It was a Dart SHP short block, but I also did the Power Adder 540. I have videos up on that as well from Blueprint. Can you run a 6.2 VVT cam out of an Escalade in a stock 5.3 and have gains? You have to have the whole. If you have to have the whole VVT assembly to run that in a 5.3, and you also have to have the computer and the harness and everything to do that. So that probably wouldn't be a good choice. Dr. Dab, how much nitrous can you run on an LS? Let's go a little more specific. You got to tell me what you're trying to do and what it is and all of that. Excuse me, I was running today. The welds look iffy on the thumbnail motor. It's always the weld stuff. Tony, no, you can't use that. You can't use that camshaft. You don't want to use a VVT camshaft in a non-VVT application. It's not a good cam and has different lobes. Just pick one that's not a VVT. It's not an outdrive. It's actually a jet. It's a Dominator jet pump. Stainless AA impeller. I hope it spins 5,800. Okay, that'd be good. I had to drive my Gen 1 Insight 45 miles home with a bad coil yesterday. Hilarious. It would still do 60 on 2 cylinders. Nice. What's up with the LS with the Weber IDAs on your video? Those are actually not Webers. That's actually fuel injection. It's called classic fuel injection, but they do look like Webers. Steve Morris posted a video on an even fire 5.2 liter V10 Lamborghini engine that made 1,980 flywheel horsepower and 22 pounds of boost. Nice. Those things sound really cool too. What's the first thing to fail when adding boost to an NA motor? Not the head gasket. It depends on if you're spot on the tune, probably probably would break a piston. Are the new big blocks all fuel injected? Yeah, the Gen 7 stuff is all big blocks. I mean, the big blocks, the 8.1s are all fuel injected. What's your opinion on turbo guards? Are those the screens that go in front of them? Currently, I'm building a Ford's internals 2.8, 12 valve VR6, board to 2.9, head cams, Lugtronic standalone in a 91 Passat, the cranking wagon. That's cool. So are you adding boost to it? I think the screens will keep out like birds and small children and stuff, but not, it doesn't filter anything out. 66 millimeter turbo. That'll be good for that displacement and probably that power output. I don't know. Were the heads ported and stuff on that? The LT4 is front wheel drive, not the one that they put in the Corvettes. That's an LS4, the front wheel drive one. Direct port, water meth, stock. Okay, stock ports. Milo's on attack mode. That's because mommy just came home. The no grill Passat. The Eric, the guy at Westech, is a big Passat guy. He likes the turbo diesel stuff though. Yeah, Burns, that LS4 front wheel drive 5.3 that they put in those. The cool thing is, it's good and bad. The cool thing is they put good cylinder heads on those. They put 799s or 243s on there, which is good. But they also have a terrible intake manifold on there. We tested turbo guards on my turbos at Westech. No change. So I'm running them. They're not going to change the power really, and they certainly wouldn't if they were going to change the power, it would be at a fairly high boost and flow rate. What is the best air filter for a daily turbo vehicle? You'd have to have something big that's not going to restrict it. I haven't ever done a long-term test of the K&N stuff or S&B or any of these other kind of filter companies. Is the Holley LS low ram manifold with a Birch panel capable of 2,000 horsepower? Yes, it definitely is. You just have to have enough boost to do that. Sound for power, I can't fit an air filter on the location of the turbos, but they're hanging off the manifold. So, sometimes fitment is the problem there. You can't hook it to the factory filter box, and then you can't put a big like cone filter like you'd want to in front of it. Or you can run a big tube to the fender well, which is like what we did with back in the Vortec days when I was doing the Vortec on the Mustang. We run a big elbow and cut out the fender well, which now it's a price, it's a classic 5-liter Mustang. So we should have done that because we hurt the value. But so that you can grab cold air, because cold air is also going to be important as is filtered air. So you want to have both of those. Tony, no, don't put that camshaft in it. Just go get another camshaft. If you run a K&N, please wash it. I had a K&N in my truck and I took it out. It was really dirty. And I just put a paper element one in. I'm working with a company custom code to tune diesel VWs and Audis. If the guys want a great tune, then he can message me. The $60 K&N that I have on my truck for over 200,000 miles, I've only bought 2 in that mileage. Fabricate a furnace filter in the middle of your hood and and glue a cowl over it. The dirtier the K&N, the better it works. The more it filters, you mean? The more stuff that's there, the more stuff it grabs. Can I put an eBay twin turbo on 11-to-1 compression 6-liter with ring gap? Yes, you can. You just have to have the right octane and you have to have the right tune. My daily is a base model Jetta wagon 2.0 8-valve turbocharged 276 cam old precision T3 T4 port head and diesel transmission. Nice. We did back in the day. We did on the base. I think it was a base 2-liter, the NA version of the Volkswagen. We made a kit that we were trying to sell to one of the VW guys. We put I think a Powerdyne. It was a Vortec because it had oil. I remember they left the oil drain off one time and it leaked quite a bit. But we did a blower kit for that and it worked pretty well. Screens are just temporary until I figure something out. Yeah. Richard, have you considered testing the 6.4 liter Hemi? Yes. But I don't have any of those, and they're not readily available or inexpensive at the wrecking yards. Richard, have you played with any Toyota 2.4 engines in the Corollas? No, I haven't. I've done some Scion stuff. I made some intake manifolds for some of the Scions. I had an XB for a while, and also an XA also. The 1.8, the motor that they should have put in the Yaris, and I also had a Yaris. When is the Big Bang Magnum coming? I'm probably not going to do a Big Bang on that motor. Built an LQ4 with 269 comp cam, long tip headers, currently ported 706 heads, Dorman LS2. I'm making a copy of David Vizard's 706 heads, but with 799s. Okay. We know that the 799 heads can flow a lot, like over 300 CFM. We've tested those in a 243, ported versions of those. The ones that I've tested came from Brian Tooley and the guys at Total Engine Airflow, and they flow a lot. They were as good as the aftermarket stuff that was out there at that time. 350 40 over, forged pistons, 3.8 750 crank, 5.7 rods and head studs in the 292 cam. That's your combination? I'm here, but I have the feed on TV. Can't see the live, sadly. Got to call my buddy. Talking about big block 454s, never realized how big the runner's on. The rec port stuff is actually pretty big. How do you deal with the different LS crank trigger wheels on the dyno at Westech? Well, we have we run them with Hollies, so the Holly is adaptable to any crank trigger pattern. We have the LS3 style harness, and we have the LS1 style harness, and we just run the correct harness for whatever the motor is. The motor is going to be a 58X and a 4X, or it really could be any combination because now the Holly is adjustable. A lot of times we're just taking the crank sensor reading and not using the cam because we don't have to run sequential when we're running wide open throttle stuff. It doesn't really change the power at all. $350 board 60 over to 388. So is it a stroke change too then? You had to change the stroke because the 60 over 350 is not going to be a 388. 78 Holly AFR top end kit. What does AFR make a camshaft for those two? I'm just not aware of that. I need to know what the cam is to know, and the compression would be helpful. And what AFR intake or head you're running Edelbrock dual plane air gap. I'm building a 5.9 turbo combo in a D100. How much cam should I do? I was thinking 220, 230. Is it a 5.9 Dodge? Is that what it is? A 360? A 222, 230 cam will work with a turbo. Do you have decent heads, and are you still using a dual plane intake, or are you using the beer keg thing? Tank, take a look at all of I have a ton of LS6 information up on the thing. Just pick the camshaft and the combination that you want. There's just recently we posted a bunch of stuff with running it with LY6 heads and aftermarket trick flow heads, and running with stock cathedral port heads and fast intakes and a couple of different camshafts. So all of that stuff is up there. Just pick the power curve that you like. Sell me that ram air intake for the LT1. What ram air intake do I have for an LT1? Are there any pitfalls with fabricating a 4-cylinder intake out of mild steel? I don't have the machine to weld aluminum. I found injector bungs in mild steel too. You could powder cut it. No, that will work fine. What's the highest you've revved in LS? The highest I've revved anything that I own is 882 or 8300, I think. Plan on building an LSX S10 ZQ8. Getting excited to put a 4.8 liter BTR stage 1 cam. Anthony, if your 4.8 already has heads on it, just use the ones that are on it. You don't need to put a 243 or 799 head on it. Salty, you want to be at 6 to 6.5 thousandths per inch of bore. But putting a chamfer on the top of the cylinder to match the chamber diameter on a 5.3 with 799 243 heads be beneficial for less flow interruption over the ledge and possibly lower the chance of detonation. I don't think you need to notch it. I think what we did was, we did it on 706 heads though. I don't know. Maybe rolling that edge might be beneficial. I don't know. It'd be an interesting thing to test. Because I think we probably would see a gain in airflow, but that, by going to a different bore size, we would sometimes see changes in airflow on the bench, but you don't know that always translates into more power. Because the valve is still going to be shrouded. So I don't know. I don't have an answer to that. I would like to try it though. It'd be interesting. What I want to do is I want to notch the top of the block like on this 396 that we have. I want to put a valve relief in the top of the block on the 5.3 so that I can run a rec port head on it with a really big valve. QP13, you want all the chop in the cam, right? So if it's an LS, you should look at maybe the thumper cams or the mother thumper or the super mother thumper cams. So when you pull heads on an L33, don't usually replace the head bolts. You can put, if I'm going to put boost on it, we normally put head studs in it, but I haven't done that yet. I haven't pulled apart the L33. But we've also just put the stock ones back in too. If you could have any engine to do testing on, what would it be? It'd be, the engine would have to still be in a car, and it would be a McLaren F1. Jared, you could loan me a McLaren F1. So Anthony, is it drive hazmat? Is that what it is? 6 hours a day? EFI University has an LS that goes to 11. Yep. Yeah, Ben does good stuff over there, and they're trying to go even higher now, I think. You have one you did a test for on the 350 5.7 liter LT1. The intakes made like the ones that come on the old Callaway Corvettes. But you'd have to show me which one you're talking about. I don't think I have. If it's from the old TunePort test, I don't have any of those. I don't have any of those intake manifolds. The only thing I have left over from the TunePort stuff is just a stock TunePort intake manifold. Richard's favorite engine is a BMW engine. No. Logic Lover, howdy. Thank you for helping us out. Richard, you see the HP Academy guys, LS turn 10,000 RPM. I don't think I've seen that one. I've seen the one that Ben does. My '05 Cyan XP. Yeah, those were the little toaster ones. This was the bigger one. This was a later one. Why a McLaren? Not just a McLaren, not the newer ones. A McLaren F1 specifically, just for that car because I think it's amazing. But I would want to turbocharge it though. Building a 5.9 Magnum GT45 turbo with stock heads and a blow-through carburetor, MLS head gaskets, head studs, 2800 stall, 373 gear. Yeah, that cam should be fine. Click the number single on the chat bar. Oh, it's down here at the bottom, down by the... Oh, we need to have a poll, too. We don't even have a poll. You guys got to remind me. So... Yeah, my favorite engine always is the next one that I'm testing. And it might even be one that I've already tested before. But when I'm going to go test it again, it's all brand new and fresh. It's like when I go get another LS from the wrecking yard or anything from the wrecking yard. Hey, it's like brand new. This is new love. It's all different. So I need some. Let's hear some recommendations for some polls. Do I need to explain how you can tune for chop and HP tuners? No, but you're better off to get that chop from a camshaft than a tune. What's the horsepower limit on cast pistons? Well, so far on an LS, we've done 1,500. So the piston is not really as weak as people think that it is. The tuner is usually the weak part. Fast time engineering. Your LS3 intake failure may have been a function of the ramp in the adapter. I don't know I don't know what you're talking about. Is that me or is that somebody? Is that for somebody else? I don't remember an LS3 intake failing. Turbo 351, stock bottom end, heads cam. What power level can the stock bottom end take with heads cam intake? Well, we have a Big Bang 351 hydraulic roller motor up on the video up on the thing. So we've gone over 1,000 with that. Richard, at what point would you upgrade from Gen 5 big block Chevy stock heads from the peanut port heads? They work really good in a designed RPM and camshaft range. They actually work pretty good, and then you can port them and do even more. And I want to do the thing with Jones on the. We want to try to make 600 with a set of ported peanut ports. So what should the poll be? I like all engines. My favorite is an FE Ford. I helped my brother build an 89 Integra, double overhead cam D16, a double overhead cam D16. So it was what is a ZC motor or something? Chop tunes. Is that like a crackle tune? We have a 283 crank and a 350, making it a 310. And we run springs on the lifters and titanium. Isn't a 283 crank in a 350? Isn't that a 302? Is it overboard quite a bit then? The LS3 to Cathedral port adapter. Oh, when we were trying to run LS3 intakes on Cathedral port heads. So I'm going to go back and see what your comment was, because that doesn't work very well. Anthony, thank you very much. Bear, I like yours. The poll should be, how long will it take after you make a rec port head work on a small bore? How long will it take for the price to jump on the heads? 1 day, 1 month, 6 months? Usually it's really fast. The motor in the thumbnail has a very unusual bell housing. It's for a boat. Twin turbo. Was being confused with the Hot Rod Magazine fellow. Changed the name. What Hot Rod Magazine fellow? Popular fuel pump tests. I've done a few way back before YouTube. I did a lot of fuel pump testing. I did Ford stuff primarily because Kenny Bell has a really cool fuel pump dyno. Basically, they have a setup on their wall where we can hook any fuel pump up to it, and we can change the feed to the pump, but you can change the voltage. You can change the, what else? I think you can change the inlet and outlet size. So we flow tested a ton of different like intake pumps and then inline pumps, because he was flowing a bunch of the factory stuff, and then he was flowing them with like their Kenny Bell boosted pumps to figure out how much more flow rate he could get. It's pretty cool stuff. Twin turbos versus a big single turbo, they do the same thing. If you size the turbo to do the power output that you want, they'll both do that. Did the 302 Chevy Z28 engine have 4-bolt mains? Yes. Just got home from Placerville. Everyone needs to hit the like button. I love C4s. Heard about a motorcycle engine that has no springs. The valve is mechanically turned. My injectors say you use a 10 micron filter. Will I regret using a 30 micron filter? Not if you have another pre-filter before the injectors, which most people normally do. Mike, I actually like your idea. Our chop tunes dumb. Quick question. What's the best way to get a 500 horsepower 5.3? Boost is the best way to do that. Otherwise, it's very, very expensive. Dan, that's right. The original Z28s in 67, they didn't make very many of them. Had 2-bolt mains. LS1 3622 stroke, 6 3-inch rod with a 6 cc dome piston, 40 head gasket. 0 deck, 1178, and 9-1 dynamic compression, pump 393. Will it work? That I don't have enough information. I don't know, but it will work. It will run if that's what your question is. It will work on 87 octane. It's just a function of how much timing you have to take out of it. Should Richard put new tires on the Omni? I have an even better one. Let me see here. MCLAREN, that's right. If Richard won the lottery or hit it big on YouTube, like if I had Cletus kind of money, should he buy a McLaren F1? Yes, everybody say yes. Because then I can show that to Lisa and say, hey, look, see, everybody said I need to do this. And Mikey, by the way, the Omni is definitely getting new tires. Although I would not be opposed to just driving those around for a really long time. And those are probably, the tires that are on it will probably stay on the Subaru wheels that it had. What do you think is the best looking stock engine? To import small block Chevy. LCXU, the dynamic compression is not the only thing that determines what octane you need to run, because it's not the only thing that determines what your detonation level is or detonation threshold is. Air temperature, water temperature, chamber design, whether the chamber has been softened, what the piston design is, has it been polished? There's a lot of things that also go into whether the thing is going to detonate or not. That's not just dynamic compression. Paul, have you ever used nitrous? I'm sure this has been answered. Maybe not, Wes. There are no bad questions. Can I use big block Chevy stock manifolds, flip forward and reverse for turbo manifolds? Yes and no. No, because what you're going to find is the manifolds are not truly reversible. Like they're the center line of where the bolts are. When you flip it over, they don't line up perfectly. I mean, I've done it and it kind of works, but it's not ideal. It's not better than what we did. Was we had flanges done that were flanged the way that they normally are. And then you basically just take the other thing around and weld it on the other side. It's a little bit more work, but the port match is a lot better. If you had that kind of money, you'd buy a Koenigsegg. I wouldn't buy that, and I wouldn't buy a Bugatti. I wouldn't buy any of the new hypercars. I wouldn't buy any of those. I would buy a McLaren F1 because that's the one that speaks to me. Can you drive any small block Chevy combo with different header tubes, inch and 5/8? I've run lots of header tests. Did you have a specific question that you wanted to know? The F1 is a masterpiece. You're right, Getaway. It's the GTR F1 or what was the other one? The LR or the LM was another one that was. I don't know if you could get that. That would be really hard to do. What would be cool is if you bought a car dyno. I had a chassis dyno for a long time. Can you dyno an HP build on a the new 632 already is a high performance 632. It makes 1,000 horsepower already. That's pretty good. I really enjoy seeing your handmade intake manifolds. I like those too. I like adjustable things because then it shows you what you can do. Road Legal GT1 Porsche, yeah, those are cool too. Those just don't speak to me. And the Mercedes GT1 cars too, same thing. Those are really cool looking. And I loved that time when they were racing. The McLaren was, as far as I know, the first production car that had to be detuned to race at Le Mans. That's whether or not that's true. I'm just going to keep telling people that that's true. Rod and Piston L33, milled TNC 799 heads, LJMS Stage 2 Turbo Cam, S480. Was stepping up to CCW crank, 10.5 pounds. Holly is timing at 24 on 94 octane. What fuel are you running in this? You don't need 24 degrees on 10 pounds of boost on that combination. That's way too high. Pagani Zonda. Zondas look cool too. By the El Chapo F1. Papa's Garage 24 is excessive. There's no need to be up there. Somebody let Richard turbo your C8 Z06. Pablo Escobar's F1. Did he have one? An XJ220. Those are cool. Richard, I still have a 2L V10 on stand in my garage. What will it take for you to run it on the dyno? We need to see what it can do. Where are you at? Are you in another state or something? I do like the 3.2 Alpha Busso GTA. Porsche 919. Logic suggestions on a budget rear end that will stand 1,000 horsepower. Dan, do you know of any budget rear ends for 1,000 horsepower? I don't think that there is such a thing. What's the current price tag on a P1? On an F1, you mean? Is P right next to the F? Is it? I'm in Arizona, but I go to SoCal. I think I've seen some of the V10s in the local wrecking yards. Does anybody make an adapter that allow me to bolt T3s to a BBK shorty without cutting all them? It's such an easy thing to do. It's something that any muffler shop can do. Because your BBK shorty, I don't know, is it a BBK shorty for a Ford? Or is it an LS? What is it? If it's an LS, it's easy. You just get the other flange part at the wrecking yard. If it's a BBK ball and socket deal, any muffler shop will be able to make you that in about 10 minutes. 959 Porsche. A Ferrari F40 is really pretty cool too. So K24 Honda Insight for sale. I would like to have one of those just to run at Bonneville. I know that I could smash some records with that thing. Yes, get a full floating 9-inch from an old road race cup car. Use a Detroit locker and whatever 8620 gear set you need. They'll handle that kind of power. What do those things sell for? Are they selling those things? So my 13.5-to-1 iron-headed 3-to-3, how much timing should I run on pump gas? This is an NA motor, right? You should run as much timing as it makes wherever it makes peak power at. I don't know if it's an iron head, if it's an old factory iron head, it's probably going to want 35 or more degrees. Richard should get a first-gen Raptor and do a Boss 6.2. None of those speak to me. Do a Ford Escort. A Cosworth Escort would be really cool. Oh, there was a Trans Am and a show called California Fever. I'm answering a question from 2 days ago. Pick up a complete 9-inch road race set for under $2,000. That is pretty cheap. Getaway. I'd have to look at the current rule book and see where the records are. But that car is so aero that you could just push it off the line and it will go 200. The McLaren F1 has, unfortunately, that's the thing that I like least about it. But it has I think it's a 6-liter BMW engine. But mine would have a twin turbo version of that. Oh, it's a V12, right? Road race setup won't handle the shock of drag racing. $935 slant nose. Those are good too. The McLaren F1's not the fastest, not by any stretch anymore. It was only a 660 or 70 horsepower car, but it was the first car to go really, really fast. And it was just so much better. And it's small, and it's a 3-seater, and it uses gold foil. It's just it was the very best of everything at the time. For RS200 is really a good one. Matter of fact, I like most of those. If I had a car collection, I think my car collection would probably be those Group B cars. Why do people always freak out about the flat plane crank engines? I think because they sound really good. I had one and it sounds good, but it's just not, there's not enough benefit from it. The McLaren held the top speed record for 15 years. Yeah, it was the Sledgehammer and the and the F1 are not, the Sledgehammer's not a production car. It was a built tuner car. But the Sledgehammer went faster. The fastest I've ever seen an F1 go, and it was 241. And I don't know if it actually did that. That seemed like a lot faster than the others that I saw. Why doesn't the Boss 6.2 speak to me? Why doesn't it speak to me the way that a McLaren does? Fox by BBK equal length. Yeah, equal length would not be my choice either, unless you're going to flip them upside down. Take a look. I have videos up where we ran shorty headers or maybe even stock exhaust manifolds and ran turbos off of those, and it works fine. I'm looking to upgrade my... I missed it. Looking to upgrade my 6-liter G8. Any helpful tips on where to start? Yeah, there's like a million 6-liter videos that I have up on the channel that will tell you how to make more power out of that. The F1's still the fastest NA. Is it? Is nobody went faster than that? It was really aero, and I mean, it just, like I said, everything about it. The real question is, what would you take the 24 Hours of Lemons? I've raced in that race before. We ran a Honda in it. Gold foil, yep. 73 Mazda RX-3 SP, that would be cool. I do like those. I raced against those when I was in Shermer Stock. Would an LT1 Grand Sport VVT cam work in an L83? An LT1 cam, I think, will work in an L83. I don't know particularly about the Grand Sport one, though. Group B S2, yeah. It's not a twin charged Audi though. The twin charge was a Lancia Delta. The Audi was just turbocharged. R2 Cosworth Escort. Chevy had a record with the Cyclone. What was their record? How fast was the Porsche 917? Yeah. Did the 917s go out? Did the 917s race at Le Mans, Dan? I know that they raced in Can-Am, but there wasn't ever any track where they went anywhere near that fast. I know that they did that. Donahue did that super speedway thing, but I don't think they ever went that. Did they run? They didn't run anywhere near that at Le Mans, though, right? V6 Lancia. Oh, the Lancia, not the Scorpio. The Stratus. That's the one I'm thinking of. Ultima GTR, Consoleer. My driving instructor had one of those. I remember a kid called the Coyote. Yeah, that was from Hardcastle and McCormick. The Noble was another one, but they had they had a twin turbo V6 in that for a while. Would you ever do a test on mechanical injection? Carb versus mechanical injection. The problem with that is that you're changing the intake manifold. So the change that you would get would not be from carburation versus fuel injection. It'd be more the intake manifold. And a stack injection, which is what most mechanical injections are, is the stack injection is going to make more power. And then the fuel injection, if you use the stack injection and then just put fuel injection, EFI, to an electronic fuel injection instead of mechanical injection, you're going to be able to have the stack injection actually work at every RPM range and load range, which you won't get with mechanical injection. They did over 250 kilometers per hour at Le Mans, but not miles an hour. The fastest standing mile. Did Johnny do that? Was Johnny driving the car that Mahovitz, or the motor that Mahovitz did that car? Because Mahovitz did that motor for that, and I didn't know Johnny was a driver. There are 4-barrel style mechanical injection manifolds. Okay. You should do an L83 port injection versus direct injection. Brian Tooley's already done that, and actually the direct injection made more power. Have you seen the knife blade throttle on Porsches? Porsches, I'm sure you're thinking, right? I've not seen a knife blade one, but they've tried a lot of different ones. Slide valves and barrel valves. Basically, they're just trying to do anything that they can to get the blade out of the way so that all you have is flow and you have nothing hindering the flow. Hardcastle McCormick. I've always wanted a 55 Chrysler 300. I mean, I'm talking about winning like the last lottery, the one that was $2 billion. That's McLaren money. Otherwise, it's not. If making a custom intake for a 5.4, 3-valve, would it be worth the effort to keep the intake manifold runner valve? Yes, that runner valve will always help you with low speed power, and you can always take it out if you're not using it later on. So I'm going to go ahead and close our poll out. If Richard won the lottery or hit it big on YouTube, that's not happened yet. Should he buy a McLaren F1? 70% are saying yes, and 30% are saying no. Mark Haydecker had the 2019 record for 300.4. Yeah, I thought it was I thought it was Mark. I didn't think it was Johnny. One more minute. Teaching my sticks for lithium cells. Since it's the Dino Channel, Godzilla versus a 632. The Godzilla NA is not going to make anywhere near what that 632 does. I know. I guess I can't get that McLaren F1. I thought that I'd have more people that would be okay with that. He had several scratchers in a Chevette. Chevettes are money now. Daily driver is a 2012 GMC twin turbo 5.7 LS 7268. Nice. They're only like 5 million now. What, the McLaren F1s are? That seems like a lot. See, Mike, you're famous. And even more people are going to watch it after this is over. Chevette would be cool, but it'd have to have something really cool in it. Is it? And Chevettes are they're front wheel drive, right? Aren't they front wheel drive? So then you could put a like a turbocharged 3800 V6. Although the transmissions are always terrible on those. Good luck finding the OEM air filter housing in Chevette. The Chevette's a rear-wheel drive, which that'd be even better then. Chevette was front-wheel drive. So now we got people arguing. I thought it was a front-wheel drive. Citation. Oh, I would only take a citation if it's an X11. Chevette was rear-wheel drive. Citation was front-wheel drive. Okay. Twin turbo 6G72 from the 3000 GTs. Those made a lot of power. Google is telling me that the Chevette is rear-wheel drive. We think it's rear-wheel drive, which would be even better because then you could put like a real transmission in it. Yeah, the diffs, I don't imagine, are designed to handle a lot of power. And on that note, it's time to go. I got stuff to do. I got more videos to put out. I got to figure out what the next video is going to be tomorrow because the big block video is already up. So if you haven't taken a look, please go check it out. You can find the magic camshaft and see how well it did. Then everybody's going to want to, there's going to be a run on those camshafts. I probably should have put a part number on there. Or I should have probably just bought a whole bunch of them and then people could have bought them because now the price is going to go up. That's what happens. Big block Chevy stuff. Chevette is definitely rear-wheel drive. Thank you guys all for showing up. I will see you guys all in the morning.